Just wanted to talk, that's all.
All right. Tip of the cap to you, my friends. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. The baseball offseason is a little bit like a clogged toilet. Everybody knows you get the plunger and you try and work that blockage loose, and usually all the shitty toilet water drains at once. That's how I feel about the MLB offseason right now. Drain is clogged, and metaphorically, of course, Alex Bregman and Pete Alonso are the two biggest turds that can't be flushed, but hopefully Scott Boras is somewhere at the moment, plunger in hand. Before we get started, I wanted to send my condolences to Bills fans. Tough loss. Tough loss. I know all about getting deep into the season and then having your hopes dashed, but at least you still have the Giants and Jets fans to keep you company while you watch the Super Bowl. Nice run once again, but Mahomes just unbelievable. Let's talk a little bit about the Yankees, shall we? Things are kind of slow, and Brian Cashman might have his self to blame because, a lot of the reasons they haven't done much recently is because of a lack of payroll flexibility. They're still paying guys who aren't on the team. The offseason began with them trying to sign Juan Soto. I suspect that if they did sign Juan Soto, they would have spent much less in the other areas. But Plan B went into effect, execute Order 66. And I'd argue that the team is a lot stronger than if they just got, say, Soto and Goldschmidt and Devin Williams or something along those lines. Because we know that's how it would have been. You would have got Soto and you would have got a couple other complementary pieces. There would have been no Max Fried for sure. I doubt they would have gotten Bellinger. But they would have had a pretty well-rounded team. I would say that their team is more well-rounded than it is. Than it would have been if they had signed Juan Soto. Sorry, I got my thoughts jumbled there for a second. But Fried, Devin Williams, later Bellinger, and then Goldschmidt. But since then, not a lot. Let's take a look at the offseason ledger. We've had some reports for a while that the Yankees were trying to trade Marcus Stroman. We'll talk more about that in a little while when we get to the trades portion of the episode. But supposedly, the Yankees were willing to eat money in order to get someone to take him. That has not happened. The vesting $18 million option for 2026 seems to be the huge stopping point for opposing GMs. You can see the Yankees are counting a lot on guys improving, but they still have some obvious needs, most notably left-handed pitching out of the bullpen and another bat, preferably a left-handed hitting infielder. But there's not a lot of those guys available right now. And I love that phrase, stopping point. I first learned the phrase stopping point in a marketing meeting about 15 years ago. My supervisor used it, and I was curious, what is stopping point? And he said that he first learned it when he was learning about grocery stores, right? And how the doors open automatically, right? Because when you're pushing this huge cart of groceries, it's a real pain to have to go and open the door. And so having the doors open automatically may not seem like a little thing or may not seem like a big thing, but it's a reason for someone to have a cart full of groceries rather than I'm just going to go get one or two things that I can carry because I don't have to deal with the door. I know it doesn't seem likely, but there was a time. Another phrase that works just as well for stopping point is any damn reason at all to do nothing instead of doing something. In general, baseball owners don't like to spend on anything if they can avoid it. On anything. And people aren't exactly beating down the door for Marcus Stroman's pitching ability at this point. So, any kind of contract issue, any kind of vesting option, any kind of weird valuation is a stopping point for opposing GMs who are looking for pitching. And we found out today that there's some other guys who could be available. Michael King, Dylan Cease has been available. And I'd imagine those are going to be the primary targets. So once those go off the board, it'll be the two biggest pitching names that are clogging the toilet, and maybe that will allow Stroman to be moved. But I wouldn't count on Stroman being moved before spring training. I think we're waiting for an injury to happen and for a team to get desperate. If there's a team that's in contention and, one of their big arms goes down or a couple of guys that they were counting on major innings from go down, then yeah, I think you're going to see Marcus Stroman. get traded. But until then, I just don't see the Yankees doing a lot, and there's not a lot of names out there to go out and get. We'll talk more about that when we get to the trades portion of the show. But I wanted to have a little moment of levity tonight. As some of you know, Aaron Judge won the MVP, and he gave a virtual speech to accept his MVP award. There's some other great stuff from that ceremony. It's available on foulterritory.com or Foul Territory's YouTube channel. Susan Waldman gave a great speech. She and John Sterling were awarded the Long and Meritorious Service Award. And John Sterling was on stage for about 5 seconds. You could tell he wanted to get out of there. Clearly wanted to leave. But to me, the best part of the night was Tracy Morgan's speech to introduce Aaron Judge. So I had one of the interns pull it. And since news is slow, I thought we could watch it together and have a little reaction time because it is worth a laugh. So,
Aaron couldn't be here tonight because the Lord is blessing him and his wife. Hopefully, they will
audio's a little rough at
tomorrow.
times, but it gets better.
We don't know. But as a lifelong New Yorker and a diehard Yankee fan, it is a pleasure for me to be here this evening. A pleasure. I grew up 2 blocks from the house that Babe Ruth built. Right on Anderson Avenue on 163rd Street. One of my first jobs was selling souvenirs, and eventually I worked my way up to scalping tickets. Okay? In my community, I grew up in Yankee Stadium, meant more than baseball. It was an economic staple that many people relied upon back then and still do to this day. Players like Aaron Judge make that possible. I love working at Yankee Stadium. I thought that being around players like Mickey Rivers, Ron Guidry, and Dave Winfield, that life would not get better than this. Then I became a TV star and movie star, and it got better. Way better.
I love this little picture.
Because of show business, I met most of my childhood Yankee heroes. And I even became friends with them. Today, I get to introduce one of my Yankee friends with whom I do Nick games with and whom the Yankees are going to win a chip this year. Trust me. I called the government. Trust me.
I called the government. I like that.
Right? Now, where was I? Today I get to introduce, I said that already, today I get to introduce, but I gotta go back and get my GED. You know, Saturday Night Live, my grandma still want me to get my GED. I said, Grandma already made it. I was on 30 Rock. She said, if you had your GED, you'd be on 60 Rock. Aaron Judge was drafted in 2013 by the Yankees. He was unanimously elected Rookie of the Year in 2017. When he broke the rookie home run record, Aaron was named MVP in 2022. Aaron, you are one of the few to have won multiple MVPs. Only Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and A-Rod have won multiple MVPs. Okay, there are a few Yankees on this list.
Those are all Yankees. Obviously.
Past season, I was sitting next to Aaron at a Knick game, and he said this to me, word for word. If you had told me in high school that I would be sitting courtside at a Knick game with Tracy Morgan, I'd slap the shit out you. That's what he said. Well, Aaron, we are here. And today, I'm proud to present the 2024 American League MVP to my friend, my brother, my comrade, Aaron James Judge.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I love the part where he thought it would be great to meet all his Yankees heroes or whatever, but then he became a movie star, and that was way better. And then he said the thing about getting his GED, and his grandma said to be on 60 Rock. There are a few like Tracy Morgan. I love that guy. Glad to see he's healing up. He actually was in a bad car accident a couple years ago, and almost didn't make it. So good thing that he made a recovery, or I would have needed to write a different topic for topic number 2 tonight. All right, let's talk about trades. Who could be available at the deadline? Why not to be too excited about it? I saw a post on X, and it got amplified on Reddit by one of the Fireside kids. I think it was Ryan Garcia. And he said that waiting for Stroman's money to come off the books before you make any moves is quote-unquote irresponsible and conflicts with the Yankees' desire to contend and is anti-Yankee. I found that to be a little bit ignorant of the underlying circumstances with the Yankees and with Major League Baseball. Who is out there that's available that's a 4-5 win infielder at this point? Who? The Cardinals are flat out not trading Brendan Donovan. He's part of the youth movement over there. Even if Ryan McMahon was available from the Rockies, not sure if he's a 4-5 win player. And also, the Rockies just proved it again today with Charlie Blackmon. They find guys they like and they keep them in the organization. That's what they do. And they are not interested in moving him. And also, another thing about people who live in Colorado, I know a few people who live out there. They love it, right? It's beautiful. The summers aren't too bad. The winters get cold, but if you're into skiing or whatever, your family's into skiing, it's like paradise. I do think the Yankees will trade Marcus Stroman eventually. I think it will happen in spring training. Every year, and that's assuming that nobody gets injured on the Yankees, which is quite possible. Then you might need them to step up. Every year, at least a few big-name pitchers go down around the league. And at that point, teams get desperate. But don't count on getting anything of value for him other than salary relief. And clearly, the Yankees aren't trying to sign Alex Bregman. They're not trying to get Nolan Arenado, or it would be done by now. The roster basically is what it is at this point. I'll put up the depth chart. And I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts that one of the infielders will be either Oswald Peraza or Oswaldo Cabrera or DJ LeMahieu. I'd be willing to bet. The Yankees seem to be intent on getting under that Steve Cohen tax, just over $300 million. And I don't expect them to go out and take on major money from anywhere. I just don't think they're going to do it. I know that sounds irresponsible to some, but I'd argue it's more irresponsible to hand out bad contracts, which they're still trying to pay off the Aaron Hicks contract, like I mentioned. Donaldson, bad contract. For once, I think they're taking a step back and they're saying, all right, let's see what we got in-house. I think they're going to do that. And then, if it doesn't work out, maybe you can go out and get a third baseman or a second baseman, however you decide to do it. But I just don't see him handing out another big contract right now. I do think that ultimately Tim Hill will find his way back to the Yankees. It makes sense from a baseball standpoint. He was, good with them. The Yankees were better with him. And he costs very little compared to some of the other moves the Yankees could make. Basically 2 nights worth of chicken buckets in Section 420. That's what it costs to get Tim Hill. Maybe they get some other lefty relief pitcher, somebody who's a journeyman, maybe like a Michael Tonkin type. I know he was right-handed, but like someone of that ilk. And if you're thinking, well, fine, maybe we'll just wait for the trade deadline. I don't think that we're going to pick up anything major in July for a couple of reasons. One, the main guys who are available this year are not guys who align very much with the Yankees' needs. They're not going to go out and trade for Vladdy Jr. They've just signed Paul Goldschmidt. Now, if Goldschmidt gets hurt, maybe, but I still don't think the Yankees will ante up. And even if they did, I don't think they have the farm system to go out and get him. And I think Vladdy's going to follow Juan Soto to the Mets. They're obviously being very trepidatious with signing Pete Alonso, and I think they're going to leave that first base spot open so they can go get Vladdy either at the deadline or in free agency. Kyle Tucker could be available if the Cubs fall out of it, but if that happens, something major has gone wrong, and one of the outfielders has gotten hurt. Or Paul Goldschmidt has gotten hurt and you had to move Bellinger to first base. But even if he does become available, he's going to require a decent trade package. For a 2-month rental, I don't know. And, we'll discuss this in a minute, but the farm system is kind of barren. I don't know, you got the chips right now without trading a Dominguez or a Luis Gil. Zach Gallen could be available from the D-backs, but again, If the Yankees are swimming in that end of the pool, something has gone horribly wrong because we're supposed to have one of the top rotations in baseball. Bo Bichette could be available. I don't see him going to the Yankees. The Blue Jays are going to be in no rush to help out a rival. Excuse me. Framber Valdez could be available. Same thing applies with him that applied with the other starting pitchers. If the Yankees are looking at starting pitching, they've got a problem. Dylan Cease, Michael King, both available right now, according to Ken Rosenthal. Not sure what the Padres are doing. Maybe they just decided to mail it in after seeing what the Dodgers have done this offseason. They said, you know what, the heck with it. But the outlook for major upgrades from outside the organization don't seem promising this year. This is not going to be a year where I make a ton of money off of trade videos. I'm just not going to be doing them because there's not going to be a lot out there. The team that you just saw on the depth chart is the team that's got to go out there and get it done. I think if they stay healthy, they can. But they're going to have to win with what they've got. And MLB Pipeline just updated its top 100 prospect lists. And the Yankees had exactly one freaking player on the list, Jason Dominguez, who comes in at number 21. They had two prospects on Keith Law's list. Dominguez was 22, George Lombard was 98. The Red Sox, meanwhile, have number 2, Roman Anthony, number 7, Christian Campbell, and number 12, Marcelo Mayer. The Orioles had number 13 and 14. So the division is getting younger, getting better. Oops, I hit the wrong button. What did I do? There we go. The division is getting younger. It's getting better. And the Yankees now, they did have the number 1 and number 3 finisher in the Rookie of the Year voting. And many of us believe Dominguez will be up there this year. But their farm system just doesn't compare to some of the ones in this division. So if you look at the top prospects, a lot of these guys are on our rival clubs. Pitching development and drafting, 2 areas where the Yankees have got to make major strides over the next decade. But then again, prospect rankings can be wrong. Phil Hughes and Jesus Montero were both ranked in the top 2-3 prospects in baseball at one point, and neither one of them became a star. It's just how it goes sometimes. Meanwhile, Aaron Judge, never a top 10 MLB prospect, just won his second MVP. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I've got a quick studio tour that I've been wanting to kind of go over since I did a lot of work on this stuff, and I do this every year. It's just one of those things I do every year. The studio, the living space, I spend a lot of time here. It's where I watch all the games. I work from home, obviously podcast from home. So, since I'm in this space as much as I am, it's one of those areas where I'm constantly fine-tuning. I get a lot of questions about my equipment. I'm kind of a tech geek and a movie geek in addition to being a podcaster, so you'll see some of that. I feel like podcasts, especially during the off-season, are a great way to just kind of get to know somebody. So, you can learn a lot about somebody by the space they occupy. So this is the space I occupy. It's about, 3 or 4 minute tour, and then we got a quick ad from Orgain, and then I'll be back. We've got 3 voicemails tonight. So enjoy the studio tour, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, I'll begin with my equipment. Normally, my equipment is one of those things that I don't tinker with because it works pretty well. At some point, I'm probably going to have to update all of this, but right now it's doing the job. I have 2 Mac Studio computers running, an M1 Max and an M2 Max. I used to have an M1 Ultra, but I spilled coffee all over it, so keep coffee and drinks away from your electronics, please, and save yourself a hassle. But this allows me to have one computer open to work on stuff while the other computer's tied up with processing or whatever. My microphone is a Shure MV7. I'm considering updating it to the Pure M7, which is the most popular microphone. It's like the Joe Rogan mic or whatever. But for whatever reason, I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. At some point, I probably will. Headphones are the AirPod Maxes, which are a bit pricey, but worth every penny. I've had them for several years. They work perfectly when you have multiple Macs. They go from computer to computer. I find that the noise canceling is tremendous on these things. I have 2 34-inch ultra-wide curved monitors, but these are probably the next pieces to replace. Honestly, I've been doing a lot of work on my Apple Vision Pro. I call it my magic hat, which lets you create virtual ultra-wide screens. As you can see by this video, it's basically as wide as my living room. Only problem is that it's tough to work in the Vision Pro for more than a couple of hours because it gets heavy and hot and sweaty. But it's nice to take a break once in a while and just throw a 100-foot movie on the screen and vibe out to some Avengers or whatever whenever I need a break. The backdrop that you always see is something that I originally bought for my garage, but as I was putting it together, I thought it might work well in my studio. I added some LED lights, things like that. But much like Juan Soto, it is only here for one season. I'm planning a major remodel to this space after the 2025 season. I obviously make a lot of movie references on the show. I'm a huge movie fan. As you can see, I'm also an expert investor in having dumped hundreds of dollars into physical media, most of which never gets used anymore. But luckily, a lot of them do come with digital code, so I got to use those. On the shelves behind me, I have various McFarlane Yankees figures, Yankees replica rings, baseball cards, and a bit of Govee strip lighting for some ambiance. I try and keep it mostly organized. I get a little bit frustrated if I get cluttered, so it's pretty well organized in here. Out in my main area, I've got more screens. My screen time is off the charts. This is where I usually watch the games, and I type my notes into this little iPad here, about 7 steps away from where I do the show. So if I need to run over and drop something into the live stream production, I can. As you can see, Pepper is a big fan of the couch. Couch is new. I used to have a couple of chairs in here, but I prefer the couch. My walls are mostly filled with movie art. I enjoy movie posters. I also made a gigantic poster for my 2022 video, Chasing History, Summer of Judge. It took me months to make that, and it was my favorite project I've ever done on here. It was a lot of detail, a lot of blood and sweat. Well, maybe not blood, but a lot of sweat for sure. And I'm proud of it, so I made this minimalist poster, and I got a few of them hanging around, and you can get one on nydesigns.shop, which I will update shortly. I got to remove all the Juan Soto stuff. This is my POV when I'm watching games. We got the fridge over here. It's filled with healthy drinks like water, nutritional shakes, grapes, plus the occasional ginger ale for when I'm feeling super adventurous. Well, there you have it. As I said, this is going to change after the season. There is going to be real brick on, well, not real brick, but faux 3-dimensional brick on the wall. Right now it's just like a wallpaper type of substance that I put up a peel and stick. It's really cheap and it's coming down already. I put it up like 2 years ago and it's already peeling. So I'm going to tear everything down. I'm going to put up a fresh base of paint, patch up the wall in little spots where we got like screws and nail holes. And then I'm going to put up a faux brick over everything and hang some jerseys on the wall. I think that'll look nice. I'm going to change some of the overhead lighting, things like that. We got a green screen that I can actually pull down, but I need to make a little bit more room for it, which means I need to move this desk and I need to move this thing behind me a little bit. So there's going to be a lot of changes, but it's a huge project and it's going to require me like shutting everything down for a week, taking everything out. So next year, maybe Christmas week or maybe like Thanksgiving week, when we're taking some time off, I'll set up a temporary studio somewhere in case there's breaking news, and I'll get to work on revamping this whole space. But quick word from the guys at Foul Territory about our sponsor for tonight, Orgain, and then back with your voicemails.
As an athlete, I care about what I put in my body, especially when it comes to protein. But can we also get some protein that tastes good? Come on, it's 2025.
Todd, that's why this podcast is sponsored by Orgain. Orgain believes real nutrition has the power to make a real difference in people's lives, and it tastes so good. Orgain's new 30-gram complete protein shakes offer protein-packed real nutrition designed to satisfy your cravings without any added sugar. They're also an excellent source of premium ultra-filtered protein with all 9 essential amino acids.
FT loves Orgain, and you'll often see it on the desk in the studio as we fuel up before and during the show. We love it for muscle support, recovery, and more.
Remember, there are no quick fixes when it comes to your health. If you want more protein, give Orgain 30-gram protein shakes a try. Head to Orgain.com/FOUL30 and use code FOUL30 for 30% off your order. That's the best offer you'll find, but you have to use the code FOUL30 for 30% off.
May I have your attention, please?
All right, welcome back. Let's go ahead and get with a voicemail here.
What's up, Derek? I've been, watching the show for about 4 or 5 years now. I'm just checking. What are your thoughts on the lack of left-handed pitching in the bullpen? You know, that seems like something that will come back to bite the Yankees in the butt. So I don't know. Well, I just want to know your thoughts.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it's a vital part of any bullpen is left-handed pitching. I mean, especially at Yankee Stadium. I mean, I think it's vital. And, you talk about irresponsibility. Going into a season with no lefties is not acceptable. I mean, you at least have to go out and get some journeyman guy. And I think that Tim Hill is the perfect fit. I mean, he was good with the Yankees. He was good in big situations. I think they got to bring him back. I understand you don't want to go over the luxury tax, but you're only getting taxed on the money that you go over the luxury threshold. So it's not like you're making it so another team can sign Juan Soto away from you, right? It's, you're paying a couple of $1 million out divided amongst the rest of the league. And, I was thinking about the league today. I feel like teams aren't spending because they're just getting so spooked by how salaries have exploded over the last couple of years. So, it's confusing that the Yankees haven't signed anybody, but I think it all has to do with Stroman.
I'm Johnny, so people know me as JT from the Bronx. Virtually every email of mine says JT from the Bronx at Yahoo, Gmail, whatever. But I see Jazz going 40 stolen bases and 30 home runs. I think he wants to showcase his abilities, and he does double steals and wants to intrigue everybody with his skill set. So plus 10 more on the stolen bases. We'll see what happens, but I think he has an opportunity to show what he's really about. And that amazing speed and quick hands, I got him 40-30.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all if he goes 40-30. I don't think he's going to hit 40 home runs, but he only came six home runs away from 30-40 last year. And I think having a couple of extra months at Yankee Stadium will do him well. Be interesting to see whether he plays second base or third base. I actually liked him at third base. I know the metrics didn't love him. I think his arm is really good. And I mean, how often does this guy need to switch positions? I mean, he came up as an infielder, went to the outfielder, came back, played third base for the first time with the Yankees. I feel like he just needs a steady place to play, and he will excel.
Hey, Derek. Great program. You make a lot of good points about the Dodgers still got to show it on the field, along with Ohtani's injury. How is he going to come back from that? And then the pressures of going back-to-back and whatnot. You also can't rule out the team chemistry. Maybe their team dynamic might be off in the bullpen or in the clubhouse, as well as maybe a couple girls can invade and kind of create some dysentery amongst the ranks.
Awful. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and... Look, I think the Yankees' best shot is that if the Dodgers can't stay healthy. I mean, they've got a lot of names on that team. But like I was saying before, Shohei hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's always getting hurt. Tyler Glasnow is always getting hurt. Roki Sasaki, do we think he's going to throw 180 innings? No. I mean, they're going to a six-man rotation to, sort of help these guys out. Yamamoto, I mean, I don't know if he can stay healthy. He already had shoulder issues his first year. I'm not rooting for these guys to get hurt, but I'm just saying it's no guarantee that I would much rather beat a healthy Dodgers team, right? That would be more satisfying. But yeah, there's no guarantees in baseball. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for tuning in here on this Monday night. We'll be back later this week. I think I want to do like a top 10 countdown. We're trying to fill the days here, fill the hours, fill the airwaves here until spring training begins. Here, we're just a few weeks away, but I'll be back with news as it breaks, if news does break. Until then, we'll see you next time right here on Pinstripe Territory. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.